the subject, of guns in the city, I think you know my history. I was around a man called Thomas Gildea, and he had an awful lot of powerful people that we speak about today around him. You know, he was mixing in that circle: CW, John Haase, Big Joe McNally, Joe Platt, George Bromley Senior, Paddy Carroll. You know, all these main heads in the city of Liverpool from back then. Big Brummy, Charlie Sager, all them individuals. And it was around the time when John Haase got nicked, and he managed to secure a pardon because he told the authorities that he knew where there was catchments of firearms that were the IRAs. So what happened there is you had a fella called Edo from Kenny, you know, who was mates with Tommy. They were mates with Haase, and they were basically the ones that put the guns in the places. You know, when the police are going turning up and finding all these guns, it was Tommy and others that planted the guns for Haase so he could secure his pardon. James Mincher, Daz, was there many guns on the streets of Liverpool when you were a kid? That's what I've just been speaking about. So look, when I was a kid, when I was growing up, the old school bouncers had shotguns. That's what they used to pull out left, right and centre, sawing off shotguns. You're on it? Crowd pleasers, they used to call them. Where's the crowd pleaser? So they used to bring the crowd pleasers out, didn't they? But later on, you know, you started getting proper tidy little ones. Joe Owens talking sense on YouTube channel. He got charged for Bromley's murder, got a not guilty. Well, it was well planned, wasn't it? You know, you've got a lot of people. Let's speak about George Bromley Senior for a minute. He was similar to he was one of them characters that ran around the city robbing people. So when you hear about the devil, Stephen French, when you hear about individuals like him that were going around taxing people for the stashes and intimidating people for large amounts of money and, you know, stuff like that, that's what George Bromley was. He was one of them. He'd run around, bully people, tax them for the dough, tax them for the drugs, tax them for the cash that had the drugs. And he had a lot of people shook, but he's also robbed a lot of people. And as I say, these were all round, you know, the other fella when I was around them, Tommy. Obviously, you know the story in the book, but let me just give you a bit more of an open insight. So basically, it was set up. Coming round to ours, George, says Charlie. George says, yeah, man, I'll be round now. I'll fly round on my bike. Went round, went in the kitchen, sitting off having a cup of tea. Kitchen door open. Gunmen waiting outside. Came in, blasted them, left, done. Simple as that. You needed balls as bold as brass to stay on the scene like Charlie Sager did and tell them the story that Charlie Sager did and walk away from it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Tommy Gildea was from Speak, lived by my dad as a kid. He never lived there for long, mate, because his whole family resided on Breck Road and he lived in Anfield for as long as I've knew him. So you might be right. I've got someone there. I think I've just seen someone talking about Panama security. Believe it or not, we've had a run-in with him, especially Daniel. Jay Foster, right, Daz, I've heard you mention Joe McNally Sr. in the past stories. Is that McNally Jr. who trains Liam Smith? Yeah, that's his son, mate. That's his son, lad. Treacherous environment when you can get popped over a cuppa. That's the way it is, though, mate. That's the way drug dealers work, you know. Don't forget, don't for 1 minute think that George Bromley Sr. wasn't a dangerous individual. He had the city shook. And that's why they had to do him the way they done him. You know, he had people around him as if they were friends who led him to his death. And it happens all the time within these organised crime groups. Trust me, mate. Cartman, 30 to 40 years in jail. It's not worth it, is it? Poor little girl. It's soul destroying when you think of the whole situation, isn't it? Hey, when you look at the whole situation, mate. Mike Smith saying, Michael Singleton, what happened with him? Well, he was blasted in the head 4 times, wasn't he? Now, there was a lot of around Michael Singo, call him Turkey for short. But he was shot within days of Craig Barker being shot. And instantly, because of that, me and my people got the blame. I think I've said categorically in the past, definitely nothing to do with us. And I've put it onto the toes of the people I believe it to be, because it definitely wasn't us. Whoever's took him out has had balls. You got to think about what they've done to him. They've shot him 4 times in the head. Messy, lad. But basically, he'd been caught up in, you know, the Wayne Basnett murder. I mean, what's his name? What's his name? Anyway, where Singo was from, you had a lad living there called Lee Glover. And next to Lee Glover's was a house. And in that house was a stash. And that stash was 9 ounces of cocaine and a firearm. And certain individuals got the blame for robbing that stash. And that was Michael O'Rourke and Turkey. Now, they found out, the Richardson organised crime group, the Pancake organised crime group, Lee Glover, member of them, the teacher, they found out who had took the stash. And they also found out who it had gone to. And the stash had gone to Eddie Dutton and Wayne Basnett. Now, they lived near the Coronation pub in Ighton. And there'd been a little bit of a disturbance with them and whoever in the past. So Pank and that didn't want to go and meet them, but they still wanted the parcel back and they still wanted the firearm back. Okay. So some lad got pulled into it, trying to think of his name. He was an half-caste kid. And he was with Lee O'Reilly's sister at the time. What was his name? Thingy Knowles. It's all out there. It's public domain. What's his name? Sutton Knowles. Anyway, this Knowles kid, who was with Lee O'Reilly's sister at the time, has been the go-between. And there's been a meet set up. They wanted a bit of dough for the piece back and the 9 ounces of white. Lyndon Knowles, that's it, Lyndon Knowles. They wanted, Basney and Dutton wanted a bit of readies for what they paid for the parcel in the first place. And they wanted the thing, so they were willing to pay the dough for the thing back. Okay? Lyndon Knowles was brought into it. Lyndon Knowles has gone to meet them to pick that parcel up and never come home. He was murdered, chopped up and got rid of, and he's never been seen since. Now that's why I believe young Michael Singleton got put to bed. Obviously, they waited for the right opportunity. I'm not saying he got put to bed. I'm not really sure of the timeline. All I know is that he got done a few days after Craig Barker got murdered. And instantly, because he got murdered a few days after Craig, we were automatically put in the picture as if it was retaliation for that, when it wasn't. So I've been getting blamed for years as the person responsible for that, when I'm not. But it is what it is. You can only say what you know so many times. If people aren't going to believe you, they're not going to believe you, are they? If you were listening, mate, it would have explained what I know. I got asked a question and I explained what I know about it. I can't tell you exactly who put him to bed. I can only tell you where it came from, because that's all I know. You know, don't forget, around that time, we're going through our own. We're just being attacked. Young Craig's just being murdered. We're not really focused on anything else, smoking weed. So I don't know. I only know what I've been told. And the information I received is that it came from them because of that. So you can make your own assumptions, mate. Yeah, he was. Young Turkey was in the same box as Mikey Wright and Michael O'Rourke and people like that. And because we'd had a little indifference with Mike, well, it weren't a little one, because we'd had a little bit of madness with Mikey Wright, that's why we got indicated before any other. When in reality, you know, it's a method that's used. You know, it's a window of opportunity to send the attention in someone else's direction while you walk away scot-free. So it is what it is.